You got a dude who actually people have been wanting to come on over to the UFC for a little bit, but odd kind of matchup and placement. Tofiq Musayev versus Myktybek Orolbai. Musayev, AJ, I don't know how much you know about him, but former Ryzen champion back in the day, back in 2019, fought in Bellator. I'm going to bring up, before we jump into this, the scandalous, controversial finish loss that he had against Alexander Shabli back in 2023 in the Bellator Grand Prix. But before we jump into that, have you ever heard about Musayev? Has he been on your radar?
Not before we started looking up these fights, Derek, and then that really started to put on. But no, I mean, kind of out of nowhere for me.
So yeah, Musayev has been a name, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. He's been a guy that people are like, oh man, I hope he can make it to the UFC before he gets too old, which is the story for a lot of these fighters. But one of the biggest performances that he had in the Bellator Grand Prix is he knocked out Sidney Outlaw. We should all remember that name, OG Sidney Outlaw. And then you fight Alexander Shabli. Very tentative, 5-round fight right here. I believe it was in the semifinals of this Grand Prix. And AJ, long story short, almost nothing happened, but Shabli was squeaking out a victory. He was technically winning at this point in the fight. And he hits him in his solar plexus, man, just a little teep in the solar plexus. And dude says, nope, nut shot. I need a second. Can't continue. Fight called. That was it. The man gave up, AJ. And listen, if you get kicked in the solar plexus and the foot comes down and it skims the cup and all that, is that a good enough reason to not be able to continue a fight at that level of stakes? I don't think so. Have you seen that fight? Have you seen that clip?
I've seen the clip. I didn't watch the fight, but yeah, Derek, I'm with you. No, it's zero excuse. Even if you get kicked in the groin, you just wait the 5 minutes. I guess they did back then. They might not have had the 5 minutes, but still, you keep fighting regardless.
Yeah, so you didn't miss much in the fight. Not much happened prior to that. What you should know just from the tape of Musayev is that the dude is a solid striker. Like, no doubt. He's a solid striker. I think that if this fight stays standing, he can have massive success against Myktybek Orolbai, right? Like, just cleaner, crispier. What the notes that I have on here is that he heads off his opponents decently well, but he does tend to follow a little bit. But the big key is throwing that 1-2 relentlessly over and over and over again. And Orolbai has a similar game plan, more or less. The only difference is he gets to those hips here, AJ. Musayev, can he, from the tape that you've seen, do you think he can keep this standing against Orolbai?
If it stays technical, if he stays at range, Musayev, if he stays bouncy like we've seen him do, I like it. I like him being able to keep this fight standing, especially because Orolbai does like to engage on the feet, and especially if he can't get his hands on you, then we're going to be seeing that fight all day long. If Musayev is able to use that pressure fighter to keep the counters coming, I think that's going to be his best path to keep this fight standing.
Which can be dangerous, man, because, I mean, we saw in the Rebetsky fight, when Orolbai can't consistently get to the hips, it doesn't really look good. He won 8 in a row before that split decision loss against Mateusz Rebetsky, and I remember Rebetsky was a huge underdog in that fight right here, so it does trouble me a little bit that Orolbai is only a minus 175 favorite here against Musayev. Some would say that Musayev could be considered a favorite in this fight, but I think Orolbai is good enough, man. I don't think that on the feet, again, he's slower, he's rangy and all that, man, but like just the relentlessness to get to the hips should be able to get the job done right here, because he throws that rear right hand and falls into the takedown attempt, which I love. I just, from like a technical standpoint, it's one of those things that it's like almost like a Khabib a little bit, you know what I mean? Where it's just like you're forcing the takedown, but you're at least throwing something to set it up instead of just trying to shoot naked, trying to shoot blind. Averages about 5 takedowns landed per fight at a 44% clip. So cardio-wise, it's going to be interesting. Team Alpha Male versus Kill Cliff FC. You know how highly praised Kill Cliff is. What else do you got on Musayev here?
Musayev, Derek, I mean, his best path to victory right here is going to be working, staying fluid, and keeping it technical. Stay at range, be not necessarily flashy, but hit him with the stuff that people like to see and then get out, right? Get out of there. Yeah. Orolbai, man, this is going to be a fun one for Orolbai if he's able to get in his pocket, right? If he's able to get inside the distance, close that up, grab a hip, put him to the ground. Orolbai's down to scrap nonetheless, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. But if he's able to get to his pocket, he has a good shot of winning this fight.
Now, the thing that kind of troubled me here is when we look at totals, I was looking at over 1.5 rounds, and I said that makes a ton of sense to me. Minus 230 is what I tracked it at last. But why is the line set at 1.5 rounds? That's really the big question right here. Given that the over is so heavy, over minus 200 on that point, it goes to show the odds makers are confident. But are they thinking Orolbai takes him down, gets him out of there early? Like, the line is set for a reason. I was confused as to 1.5. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question, Derek, because I also thought 2.5 would be more of a interesting or a more common approach to how I was looking at this line. But 1.5, I'm not sure. I can't come up with something.
Yeah, I think more than anything, it's the unproven nature, kind of what you're alluding to, right? You're like, we haven't really seen many PFL, Bellator fighters, these regional dudes come through and just like steamroll. We haven't seen too much of that one, and I think it's just a lack of confidence in seeing what they can do in the big show. Again, Orolbai is coming off of those fights against Rebetsky, Elvis Brenner. Beat him. That was huge right there. Uros Medic beat him. Like, those are huge, huge victories. But let's not forget, Musayev has fought like Patricky Pitbull, Sydney Outlaw, Shabley. Shabley's good, bro. And then, you got some other fights over there. He was in Ryzen a couple of times before making it back. But that's the play. Orolbai, taking it long. Are you taking just the over 1.5 or are you going decision?
Derek, I'm taking the over 1.5. I think Orolbai, if he can get this fight to the ground, he can get a finish right here. So whether it's KO or submission depends on how it's actually working out, but I like the over 1.5.